I am humbled and honored that Brian asked me to speak today with you. This is the ALA program in general is fantastic. We've been doing it 16 years now. Is that right? And this day, I'll try to slow down because I'm pretty excited after listening to Andy and Chase and sitting in those sessions. I get really pumped up and excited listening to some of the things. I was trying not to sit back there and feverishly be taking notes so that you all would think, well, what's the leader doing taking all these leadership notes? But there is a lot of great nuggets that I picked up on, and I'm sure you all did as well. Our mission here at the Transportation Cabinet is to provide a safe, efficient, environmentally sound, fiscally responsible transportation system that provides economic opportunity and enhances the quality of life in Kentucky. That is something that we have really been focused on, even more so than ever in the last 2 years since I've been upstairs, since I've had the opportunity to work upstairs with Patty and now Andy and Jason and Secretary Thomas. And it's something that excites me, having been a scholarship student, and so I've been around the cabinet, not as a middle schooler in the 90s, but starting on scholarship in summers, 1992. Was my first summer, so I have been around the cabinet, and it's kind of part of my blood since my uncle, Tim Lason's dad, was I think one of the first scholarship students to go through the engineering program, and so the cabinet and engineering has been, I've been around it in some form or fashion for most of my whole life, little older than middle school in the 90s, but. I want to talk to you about 4 things today. Take a risk, expect change, see the big picture, and have fun. So take a risk. Everything we do has a risk. But more important to me, and I think the cabinet, is the risk that we accept when we do nothing. Wayne Gretzky once said that you will always miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. We're in the business here, as I said, of providing a safe and efficient transportation system. So we're here to get things done. We're here to actually build improvements, to construct things, to pave roadways, to make them safer and smoother, to reduce congestion, to make people's lives better. When we delay those, when we don't get things out, then we're literally putting people's lives in danger. We're causing people to spend more time in their vehicles, in their cars, away from their families and loved ones. So we have a huge amount of risk that we take when we don't get things done. I think that sometimes we don't see that when we're going through the day-to-day of what we're doing and trying to get projects ready. The opportunities missed by not getting things done. I know that this group in particular, when I look out, are a lot of people that are more, how do I do something? How can I get something accomplished? Which is really refreshing. But that's really where we need to be, because we need to be focused on the big picture of understanding that what we do has a risk, and not doing anything has a big risk itself. So everything has a risk, and even especially doing nothing. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "You may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no result." Expect change. Obviously, change is something that we all experience. The difference is whether we expect it and welcome it, or whether we try to hide from it and ignore it and pretend that it's not happening. I was fortunate for 9 years to be on my local school board. And those of you who know me know I have a 5-year-old, so you're thinking, why in the world did you get on a school board and you didn't even have children? But I live in the district where I went to school. So I had coached there, so I'm pretty passionate about the Frankfort Independent School District here in Frankfort, being a small independent district, so I did get on the board. During one of our annual trainings, one of the things that stood out for me, we had a session talking about today's generation learners and how they're different. And a couple things stood out to me in that session. One, we're preparing students today for jobs that don't exist, using technologies that haven't been invented, to solve problems that we don't know are problems yet. Now that's a lot to take in, to think about what that looks like when we have students in high school or middle school today, and the things that they will be doing when they're in your seats may not even exist. We might not even realize they were problems as we look into the really near future, I think, of autonomous vehicles and other innovations and the rapid advance of technology, to really be thinking about. I mean, when I was in elementary school, we were punching away on Apple IIe's and went home to ColecoVision and stick figures playing baseball, and now, and you know, even for the last 10 years, the PlayStation 3s and the other gaming stations, those kids are going on, and now they're flying drones in the Air Force, you know, basically with the same skills that they were learning on computer technology. Today's learner will have 10 to 14 jobs by the age of 31. Now, I'm someone who, I already told you, I was on scholarship coming out of high school, and so I've worked in a total of one place other than having a paper route when I was in high school. So for me, that's really difficult to wrap my head around, the millennial generation that's really not scared at all to change jobs, to do things, to do different stuff. It actually excites them and thrills them. But looking at our organization and what the future of that looks like, with that workforce coming in, it's a big challenge. It also can be a big opportunity. 1 in 4 workers have been with their current employer less than 1 year, 1 in 2 less than 5 years. Again, following up on the fact that mobility is going to continue to be something in the future. So those of us that are leaders, recognizing that, capitalizing on that, and really taking advantage of those opportunities to bring new people in, to get them to bring value to them, and help them bring value to our organization, it's going to be different as we look into the future. But I think that's pretty exciting. See the big picture. Obviously, this is one of the big reasons that the Advanced Leadership Academy was created. It was really to help all of us broaden our perspectives a little bit on the things we do here in the cabinet and beyond. All the things that we do in the cabinet are important, whether they're direct frontline folks out on the roadways like Kyle Pode or Ben Kidd that are out actually laying the asphalt and building the bridges, those of us that may be back designing those things, or those of us that are in support roles that help facilitate that work. All of these things are critical to really us achieving our mission in some form or fashion. The key really, though, is to understand how all of these things ultimately fit together into us achieving that mission of building and maintaining highway infrastructure. As leaders, and it was discussed, several of the folks this morning talked really about how we can help our staff really see that bigger picture and feel that purpose of what we're doing beyond that day-to-day stuff that they're doing and may be routine, and they're getting into it every day and they're not really super excited, but helping them see a little broader perspective. Those of you that have heard Greg Coker talk or read his book, Building Cathedrals, The Power of Purpose, may have heard his story talking about President Kennedy going to visit NASA. This is after his famous challenge to put a man on the moon in the 1960s. So President Kennedy goes to tour NASA, and he comes across 2 gentlemen sweeping floors, and he asks the first gentleman, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm sweeping floors." So he goes on to the next gentleman and has a little conversation and asks him what he's doing, and the gentleman gets a gleam in his eye and smiles, and he said, "I'm helping you put a man on the moon, Mr. President." That really is understanding in someone who's doing something that we may think, I mean, how valuable is that? Anybody can do that, but he's really seeing a bigger purpose for what he's doing, and I guarantee you that second man, him going into work every day and his sense of purpose and value when he leaves every day, understanding that he's part of something much bigger than himself, is exceptional. And some people have that. They come to work with that, and others we can help as leaders add that to them. We can help show them that what they're doing, how it plays a part in the bigger part of the cabinet. One of the things that that excites me, when I was asked to move up in the organization, and prayed about it, but really didn't hesitate much because I know the passion of our people. Talking to our staff wherever they are, in the districts and the divisions and support functions or out on the roads, they're just exceptionally passionate about what they do. And it really shows. I've had literally people sit in my office and talking about stuff that you would think is mundane and come to tears. And I don't say that because I think it's a sign of weakness, because I cry at Hallmark commercials and my wife makes fun of me. But literally talking about stuff and what they do, and it really would come to tears because they're so passionate about things. And because you'll think, man, this person is they're kind of getting in the way of us doing stuff. So let's talk to them about it and say, do you like what you do? Man, I love it. This is fantastic. And you're thinking, okay, that's somebody that really, you can work, you can do, you take somebody like that, and I think we could put a man on the moon probably again today with the cabinet, when you have staff like that are just willing, just happy and excited about what they do here at the cabinet. And lastly, and I think this is really, really important, is have fun. I don't know, I've read a book, and those of you that were at the partnering conference last year may have heard Mike Staver come and talk. He wrote a book, Leadership Isn't for Cowards. In his book, he talks about an anecdote. One year for Christmas, his then girlfriend was really excited about the present she'd gotten, so she was really excited for him to open it. And he opened up the present, and it was a gift certificate to go skydiving. And he tried to feign excitement about going and jumping in and out of an airplane. I don't know how many of you have gone skydiving. Is this a big risk-taking group? Apparently not. I almost went skydiving. That's a story for another day. I was up in a plane with a chute on, but didn't quite make it. Not for reasons you might expect of being a chicken. At any rate, so he got the thing, and he knew he couldn't chicken out because he rides motorcycles, so he was going to try to be tough, Mike Staver. And so the day comes, and he goes to the airport, and for those of you that haven't been, you sit through about an hour of legal stuff, basically telling you how multiple things can go wrong, and you can die because the chute won't open. So I don't know if they're trying to scare you away from doing it because you've already paid your money or whatever. But so he goes through all that and gets strapped up in his gear, and it's going to be a tandem jump. So they're walking out, and he looks at the group ahead of him, and he can see the plane up in the sky, and then he sees the little dots jump out of the plane, and 3 or 4 of them. In the first 3, the chutes pop open, and the last one just looks like it keeps falling and falling and falling. And it's what seemingly at the last second, the chute pops open it looks like right before the ground, and Mike leans over to one of the other instructors, and he says, "Who is that guy?" He said, "Oh man, that guy, he's crazy. He's just nuts." And about 15 minutes later, the nuts guy walks over and said, "Hey, I'm going to take you up in the plane, Mike. I'm your instructor." So they get up into the plane, and you're getting up to whatever 10, 13,000 feet when you're going to jump, and there's a person in front of him jumping with another instructor, and she was a little nervous, and she's starting to white knuckle, and so they kind of get up to the edge, and you're going to kind of roll out of the plane. You usually sit on the edge and roll out. But she was white knuckling. The instructor kind of had to kind of push her up to the edge, and then she screamed, "No, I don't want to go." And he said, "We're going," and pushes her out. So Mike's looking at all this, and he realizing the instructor that he has, that he may not even open the chute. And so they get up to the edge, and the guy says, "You want to have some fun?" And he's thinking, does it matter what I say really at this point? So he says, "Sure, let's have some fun." So the guy, he said, "Well, just go with my lead." So the guy, they go out, he does 3 somersaults, they're flipping around. He waits a little while to do the chute, but he gets to the ground, and it was just awesome. He said it was just a phenomenal experience. And he said, the lady in front of me and I, we both did the same thing. We both went skydiving today. She may have to go back and change some of her undergarments, and I had an awesome time. Their experience, they did the same thing, but their experiences were just phenomenally different because of how they approached that activity. So as we go about our work, keep that in mind. Have fun with what you're doing. I always liked Danny Jasper, Jeff's father. If you ever heard him talk, always talks about never really having to work a day in his life because always enjoying so much the things that he did. And if you really can do that, and it shows those of us that are that have folks working for you. It really shows with your people if you're having fun or if you're going through the motions, and that will rub off. It becomes contagious. Folks, you know, folks that you work with that always seem to be passionate and enjoying the things that they do. It rubs off on you. It makes everything much more enjoyable. I am passionate about what we do. I think we have just such a unique opportunity working here at the cabinet to be able to really, we have the opportunity to impact people's lives positively, everybody in the Commonwealth. You know, how many people can really say that what you do literally has an opportunity to impact everybody? That's a great opportunity and responsibility, but I think it's exciting. I've never been, you know, some people, when they go out, they don't want to tell people they work for government or for transportation because you probably will get some feedback if you tell people you work for the Transportation Cabinet. If it's snowing, you'll get a lot of feedback, or if right after winter when there's a few potholes, you'll get a lot of feedback. But I've never been one to, I've always told people I've been proud of what I do and where I work and the opportunities I have. And I know other people that I'm with are, well, shut up, Paul. You're just going to start a conversation you don't want to get into. But I think that it's important. I think it's important for the public to see that we have passion for what we do. That we're really that it means a lot to us. And I think when we have those opportunities, that can spread like wildfire too. That people can see, hey, all those government employees aren't just lazy do-gooders. Do nothings. There are some that actually are a lot of folks that are really passionate about what they do. So take a risk, expect change, see the big picture, and most importantly, have fun. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.